By now, this feeling is familiar. You hesitate before posting. You rewrite the sentence. You delete it altogether. Not because it's illegal, not because it's false, but because you know how it might land. You know which opinions disappear, which jokes never get told, which questions feel safer left unasked. And the strange part is, no one has to force you. There's no king, no priest, no law. That raises a quieter question. If no one is in charge, why does it work? For most of human history, control was local. Societies were small, around 150 people. In that world, reputation was survival. If you violated a taboo, insulted an elder, or spoke too freely, you weren't canceled. You were exiled. And exile meant death. So humans adapted. We evolved a hypersensitivity to shame, not because we were virtuous, but because deviation was lethal. There was a constraint, though. Shame was face-to-face, physical. If you were cruel, you paid for it immediately. But tribes didn't stay small. Villages became cities. Cities became empires. And social pressure stopped scaling. You can't personally shame thousands of people. Control had to be outsourced. Power centralized. Kings and churches became behavioral engineers. Rules weren't just social anymore, they were sacred. You didn't stay quiet to avoid conflict. You stayed quiet to avoid execution or eternal punishment. Fear became standardized. For the first time, millions of people who would never meet followed the same moral code because they feared the same authority. Order replaced negotiation. Then came mass communication, printing presses, newspapers, radio, television. Control didn't disappear, it concentrated. For the first time, millions of people could receive the same story at the same time from the same sources. And those sources weren't neutral. A small group of editors, owners, and institutions decided what was news, what was acceptable, what was dangerous, what kind of citizen the system needed, not always malicious, but always selective. Because industrial societies don't run on freedom. They run on predictability, and predictability requires conformity. Then Hollywood refined the method. It didn't threaten you, it seduced you. It didn't tell you what to believe, it showed you what to admire, what success looked like, what love looked like, what kind of life mattered. This was soft power, influence without enforcement. And once you can shape desire, you don't need to police behavior. People police themselves. Governments noticed, intelligence agencies noticed. Not because they were evil masterminds, but because storytelling is power. And the Cold War made that obvious. Narratives became weapons. Culture became strategy. Then came the internet. At first, it looked like freedom. No gatekeepers, no editors, no centralized control. But power doesn't vanish, it reorganizes. Platforms replaced publishers. Algorithms replaced editors. And for the first time, control became automated. Not by a king, not by a priest, but by code. A new class of actors emerged. Platform owners, advertisers, institutions shaping regulation. And agencies that never stopped studying persuasion, information, and mass behavior. Not to control everyone, but to steer outcomes. Because in the digital age, attention is the battlefield, and incentives are invisible. And then something familiar returned. The tribe. Social media brought back shame and exile, but removed the old constraint. You don't face the people you punish, you don't absorb the cost. Yet the consequences are real. A coordinated mob can end careers, erase reputations, enforce norms faster than any court. Platforms benefit from outrage, institutions benefit from compliance, and users do the enforcement for free. We don't self-censor because a king is watching. We self-censor because the system rewards it. Socially, economically, algorithmically. So when does social engineering happen? It happens the moment incentives align against deviation. It happened at the first campfire. It happened through kings and churches. It happened through media and movies. And it's happening now through platforms, institutions, and crowds who believe they're acting freely. We were never unengineered, only the methods became quieter and the engineers less visible.